Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. What's going on, guys? The bounce of the ball is so close now. I reckon I've scheduled this one for somewhere in the 5 o'clock department. Less than a couple of hours or thereabouts till the first bounce. And I tell you what, it's Wednesday night and you're dealing with a really stressed out Shorty. I just can't find my team right now. I cannot find it. Elliot Yeo went down and I've been chopping and changing. I feel like I'm exposing too many young rookies in the back line, but then I feel like there's no real good rookies to expose in the forward line, so I want to bat really deep, and then I sort of go, oh geez, do I downgrade Steele to Warple or Wanganeen Malira, because then he'll flick back in 5-6 weeks time, but I really love Jack Steele. Do I just go mid-price? Can I just bat a bit deeper, but with Will Day or Hunter Clark, or there's too much going on right now. So I think I'll do this video on the forwards, and then I'm going for a drive. I need to just go to the shops and just calm down. To top it off too, we got tennis finals this week, right? How good's that? Having a hit, trying to find the form with Brad and Cov. Hitting a lovely little backhand. Bang, string. Goes. Not me hamstring, tennis string. Gone. Very disappointing stuff. So that is getting the restring probably as we speak. But yeah, it's a little bit like Elliot Yeo. You're very disappointed it happened, but you rather cop that before the actual event than, midway through. If I did that on Saturday, would have been filthy. But yeah, imagine if Elliot Yeo got this injury in a week or two. The egg on my face would have been something shocking. But nonetheless, bullet dodged. But in the short term, I just don't know. Do you go Liam Jones? I don't know, man. No, don't know. Anyway, we'll leave that. I will have a team reveal at some stage on Friday because, I need to see the teams drop. I've got the boys coming over to watch the game. I just won't have time to. I'll probably start it, but won't have time to upload it and all that sort of stuff. But relevant forwards. So if they're in 3% of sides or more, somebody's thinking about them. Therefore, I want those people. Even if it seems slightly pointless to talk about, there'll be a handful of people out there who go, gee, nice. I was interested to hear those thoughts. Maybe you won't be, but I'm going to talk about them anyway. Let's go through it, shall we? And look, the forward line, I've probably had a bit more clarity on the premiums. The rookies are tough, but we're not going to deal with the rookies. Josh Dunkley, lock, 70% ownership. I don't think I've ever seen a 70 ownership. Very, very rare that you see that. So that man is a lock. I said it day one. Very first video of this pre-season. Absolute lock. Coniglio, 16% of sides. Really trying to get him into my team. I want to bat deep in this forward line. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know what to think. I'm getting sidetracked again because I'm thinking about Errol Gulden while I'm trying to talk about Coniglio. Shorty's all over the place. But Cogs is going to play midfield. Back half of last year was great. I reckon we can trust him. He's definitely a strong consider. I think probably the main ones you got to have are Dunkley, Rozee and Taranto. But if you want to beef it up a bit more, Coniglio's probably next in line. Isaac Heeney's in 6% of sides, but it's a big no thanks for me. Cheers, Isaac. You've been great for me over the years in terms of making me pull my hair out. But no thank you. He's going to play a lot forward, one would imagine. And we were trapped last year, and it hurt. And there's no need to get sucked in this year. And Zak Butters, hasn't he been just a smidgen disappointing? It's time old mate Butters really turns it on this year. He's been a slow burn. He burst on the scene, but he's always got knocks and niggles, or he's playing a bit too much half forward, or I don't know. Horne-Francis comes in. Does that mean, I must admit, Butters' pre-season centre bounce attendance percentage was just a smidgen concerning. He was a little bit down that pecking order. So I'm very much happy to bypass him. If we pick him up throughout the year, great, we'll have a bit of fun. But for now, no thanks. Dill Moore, I think he's one of the best point of difference players out there. He'll play a fair bit more midfield time. Only played half a game of footy in the Pracky game. Looked really good. Yeah, he'll still play time forward because he's so handy there. In terms of pods in the forward line, premium style, far from the worst. In fact, maybe the best, but definitely not someone I've really considered. Really happy to pick him up in one of my draft teams, but yeah, not so much for your classic for me. And then Rozee and Taranto. Look, Rozee, gun. Really fantastic back end of last year. Lock him into your team. Taranto, again, he's been a guy that I was on early, and it's really translated. Massive ownership for both those lads. If you don't have him in your team, I think you're getting left behind. Cameron's in 5% of teams, but I don't see any real need to be selecting him. Like I've just talked about, we've got a plethora of fantastic premium options in the forward line, so happy to go past him. And then Shai Bolton in 7% of teams, and Dusty, look, I think both those Tigers going to play a fair bit of forward time. I think they need to. Yeah, they'll have stints in the midfield, but bring in Hopper and Taranto. And I know there's a bit of a changing of the guard in the Tigers midfield, but I think Bolton, no need to select him. He's in no man's land. I'd much prefer to spend 40 to 60k extra on one of those guns that I just talked about. And same set for Dusty. I think we get mesmerised by Dustin Martin, mid-forward, good price for him. But his best days are past him, definitely behind him. Whether he plays every game is another question. He'll definitely play a large majority forward. I mean, he'll have some games that he tears apart, but no need for your Supercoach side. You'll be pulling your hair out, I promise you. Charlie Curnow, a bit like Cameron, fantastic key forward, dominant player. No need for our Supercoach side, but some people are obviously loving a bit of Charlie in their team, 4% of sides. But I do want to talk about Errol Gulden. And, look, with this reshuffle with Elliot Yeo, he's a guy that's really come into consideration just to save me that 50, 70, 80k, just to spend it down back. It could come in really handy. I do think he's a promising player on the rise. I do worry that there are some trap qualities. Trap's probably a strong word, but it's the old massive pre-season game. Does it translate? But Callum Mills didn't play the last one. Someone rightly pointed out he did play the first one. Gulden still played well. So I think this guy's really going to push his average well into the 90s, and he could average 100. I'd say the odds are better than worse in terms of him being a good selection, but I've just been just a smidgen hesitant in jumping on the bandwagon. I'm always a bit like, whoa, come on, I'm not just jumping on the hype, let me dissect this. And I was pretty happy with my forward line, so I didn't really consider it. But with this reshuffle that I'll have to do, I probably am going to look into him deeper. So he's a strong consider for mine. It's being reflected in the numbers of ownership, so I can't blame you. He's a quality play, and definitely that beautiful left boot should bring us plenty of joy over the season. This is where it probably starts to get a little bit more interesting because we drift down to more of that mid-price stuff. And there are a few mid-prices in the forward line that I've seen many considering. That F5 position is a real headache for mine. Liam Baker's in 3% of teams, but I spoke about him in the back line. No need. No need to consider. Had a great pracky game, but no need. Zac Bailey in 3% of teams. Bit much hype for me. I mean, he's a bit more of a hype guy than actual substance for mine. I think there's a bit of pressure on Bailey to actually produce consistently, and I think with the additions to Brisbane, I don't feel like there's any more midfield time coming his way, so it's a no for me. And Toby Greene, yeah, great to see him skipper. Great to see him actually playing round one this year, starting from the start. But no, he's in 4% of teams, but please no, don't be in yours. Don't be that guy. Ben Cunnington, 7% of teams, and as you'll see, he's in my side. Honestly, I don't understand why he's not getting a little bit more love. I mean, I get he's been through a lot, didn't play much footy last year, but we saw Sam Doherty return from the same thing, basically, and dominate. He's still going to have massive centre bounce attendance. Still looked like he could win plenty of inside pill in the practice game. And yeah, he might rest forward at times. I was watching that doco at North the other day, and Clarko sort of said, look, Ben Cunnington could just rest forward. He might not have to come off too much. So I'm probably expecting an average in the 90s for sure. Whereabouts that lies will probably be the decision of whether I upgrade him at some stage or keep him all year. I mean, this is a guy that at his peak comfortably averaged high 90s, early 100s. So to average 96, I think is very comfortable. And if he was doing that, gee, you could just about hold him most of the year. So I think 7% doesn't do him justice, but maybe I'm an outlier there. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one. yeah, this is where we really scroll and we really start to get to a few blokes that I've just been umming and ahhing about for ages. And I think we'll get to one in a moment. Jack Ziebell, 4% of teams needed to see a bit more. Look, there is that romanticism about him getting back to the back line and producing a year like he did the other year. But, gee, I repeated a few words in that sentence, didn't I? But, look, I think you've got Aaron Hall, you've got Luke McDonald, will go to rebound it all. Will Shees will rebound it all. You know what I mean? There's quite a bit back there. I don't think every kick in and every rebound 50 will be going through Ziebell like it was the other year. Too risky for mine, but definitely valid. But I think watching the practice game put a line through him. And then, yeah, we moved to Horne-Francis, who's a guy that I've actually had in my team over the last week or so, but I just was never comfortable with it. He could venture back. I do rate him as a player. I think his best football will blossom in Port Adelaide because that's where he wants to be, and they want to play him in the centre bounce. So it just depends which way you want to look at it. It's like those catches in the cricket where if you want to see it touching the ground, you can. If you want to see it carrying, you probably can. I can look at the glass half full for Horne-Francis, and I can see the negatives as well. You probably need him to average around that 90. It's possible. His best footy's probably a year or two away, at least. You know, he's still a young man. He's had an interrupted pre-season too. So he's not someone I'm locking. I've definitely considered him, but he's been a bit of a, I'm this way and I'm that way on him, so I'm still finding it a bit tough. I think there's probably better picks out there. I'm probably leaning more towards Tanner Bruhn if I had to pick out of the two, which hasn't always been the way I've gone about it. But, in fact, I made quite the bet with Langers that Horne-Francis will out-average him. So, I stand by that, Langers, if you're watching. But the extra little bit of coin that could be created may be helpful as well. I think we'll probably move down to Bruhn, I'd imagine, straight away. I don't think there's anyone else in between worth talking about. Fuck, Nat Fyfe. Forgot about him. Look, my thoughts on Fyfe are I hate the role. He's such a good player that he will find a way to tear games apart and play really good footy. Just worries me that he's going to have a really quality defender on him each week. It's like getting tagged each week in the midfield. He'll have days where he kicks three, but he'll have days where he doesn't. No doubt about that. So I just worry that it'll be an absolute roller coaster. I understand at that price point that you might just roll the dice, but I'm happy to not. And honestly, I know it says 42%, but I haven't seen that many teams from other YouTube creators and other sort of media outlets that have him. So don't know what the go is there, but I'm not considering him, and yeah, happy to scroll past. There's Bruhn. Look, bit of extra cash. Him and Horne-Francis, really hard to split. I think Horne-Francis has more stability in his role and ability to get constant centre bounce. But I think Bruhn probably looked better in the practice game and is a guy that really could take that position in the Cats midfield, make it his own, or by the same token, could get pushed to a half-forward flank or even out of the team in round 4 or 5. Like, that's what worries me. So I feel like Bruhn has that upside, but there is a bit of risk with his selection too. So that's about all I can say on that. I'll be really interested to see where the Cats name him. I don't know, they're just team sheets, but sometimes it's really interesting when it comes out and they're just the second player on the interchange. You're like, oh yeah. Or he's like the second follower alongside Dangerfield. Then you're like, hang on a second. It's just a bit interesting. But, yeah, he has had me umming and ahhing so much. And, Shorty just needs a break from it, you know. He needs a break. I don't know if there's too many more guys I want to preview here. There's one or two, I feel. Looking for that 3% ownership minimum. We won't dabble in the forward line too much. Sam Flanders, so he's definitely worth considering. I watched that game because I wanted to see what his touches looked like. I haven't watched him play too much. Miller wasn't in that game. The Suns had a fair few outs. Honestly, I prefer the others. I prefer spending a little bit of extra coin. A bit like Fyfe, I don't love the role. He's obviously a talented footballer. High pick, really finally getting a solid crack at it. But I just feel like he won't get too much midfield time. He'll roll up from the half-forward flank. He'll roll up the ground and looks like he's a very talented player. I just feel like half-forward flank rolling up to the stoppage can sometimes be a really difficult spot to score points. So I'm just a bit worried on that front. He's been a guy that I've considered but never really truly put in my team. So I get the hype, great preseason game. I just am a little bit concerned about how much opportunity he'll get like he did in that Preki game. But certainly will have some games that he dominates. I just think there'll be some real up and downs as well. Darcy, 10% of teams, I don't really see. Look, he's playing forward now, guys. Any consideration would have had to be as a defender. It's a no thanks for me. And look, we'll leave it at that because we're rolling into the rookies. And how much time have we got this to sum it up? We've got a minute and a half. I can do it quicker. But that is the forward lines. And that is a wrap on all the relevant players who are in at least 3% of sides across each line. So hopefully the timestamps have helped you navigate this one. If you want to check out any other of my videos of anything, but definitely in this genre, gee whiz, Shorty needs to just sit down and have a Milo. Feel free to check them out. I'm going to go to the shops. I'm going to edit this one up, upload it, schedule that bad boy, and enjoy the footy tonight. I can't wait. At this point, I'm probably sitting down with a beverage, maybe a slice of pizza, and definitely will have my team reveal out tomorrow. So looking forward to that. Good luck. Hopefully, I've settled on my damn team by then. But all the best. Enjoy tonight. Footy's back. How good is it? I'll talk to you soon.